Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
If you're a lineman in charge of keeping the lights on, Grainger understands that you go to great lengths and sometimes heights to ensure the power is always flowing, which is why you can count on Grainger for professional-grade products and next-day delivery, so you have everything you need to get the job done. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Lowe's knows how to help you save. This July 4th, get up to 40% off select Whirlpool kitchen appliances. Plus, get an additional 10% off when you buy 2 or 3 select major appliances. And when you buy 4 or more, you'll save an additional 20%. Find the right appliances and features that fit your kitchen's unique needs and style. Shop Whirlpool 4th of July deals at Lowe's. Valid through 7/9. See Lowe's.com for details. Savings vary based on purchase amount. Selection varies by location.
Stop right there. Yeah, you. If you like all things entertainment, current events, or Hollywood, then look no further. Creator to Creators, hosted by director Meosha of Horror Noir, interviews filmmakers and creatives from around the world. Join in on the fun, guest celebrities, and informative information to have as a creator. Hit subscribe and stay connected to Creator to Creators.
Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators today. Today, we have a special guest.
S.A. Vince.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So I saw that you're from Florida originally. I am from Florida as well. So I was like, hey, Floridians.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So tell me a little bit about the beginning, like, growing up, and how did you kind of find your way into music?
Okay, so basically just growing up when I was younger, I always was around music, and my parents are from the island, so I kind of was listening to all different kinds of things. And when I was around like 8 years old, I would say, me and my cousin kind of like, just from listening to music, we kind of wanted to get into like writing songs. Those were very simple songs. It wasn't anything like crazy, but rhymes, poetry, just things like that. We were kind of messing around, and then we would just like perform for each other and things like that. It wasn't anything too serious, and from like that around, that's really when I started. Like, I actually realized that I like writing music, not necessarily like producing or actually like performing it or anything like that, but the writing aspect of it, I kind of around that age, like around 8, and then
Nice.
I would say for the next like 4 years, probably, I was doing that. I was just getting better, obviously, like in school and everything, just going with that. And like, I always kind of, especially in like the English classes and stuff in school, I would always be into that with the writing, and like anytime we would do poetry and things like that. And then I would say from around like 13 to 17, probably, I was like I kind of shifted more. Like, I did kind of like, I played like drums for a little bit in high school, well, not middle school actually, and then I kind of started playing sports like basketball and things when I was from like probably like from like 8th grade maybe to like going up into high school. And then I just didn't really have I guess the attitude for that. I wasn't really motivated to follow that path or something. I knew that really wasn't for me. So after I left high school, when I was 18, I started producing again, because I tried doing the whole college thing like after high school. It didn't really work out for me. I was getting in trouble and things like that. But when I was in college, or at the time I was in college, I was basically like the parties we were at, like I was kind of like DJing and things like that. And just, I started getting into producing around that time. And obviously when I started, I used to have this old car, and I had like subs in the trunk, and like this big speaker system, and I would always like make beats and go in there and just like listen to it. And like that's kind of when I started getting into the producing thing. The beats weren't really that good like at the time, but just like that's really when I started to fall in love with the actual like creating aspect of the music part of it. And then from so at 18, that's when I started doing the producing. And then I ended up dropping out of college, like getting kicked out. And then from 19 to 20, I ended up leaving where I was in college and going to Atlanta. And in Atlanta, I started at the Art Institute of Atlanta, and I was there for around, say, like 3 to 4 semesters.
Okay.
And
Nice.
then I stopped doing that because it was just the tuition was crazy, and they had a lot of math classes, and I was going to a music school. I didn't really want to do math classes, and I know it's part of the degree, but I was just like, I don't really want to do that.
Right. It's like
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's not worth it. So yeah, and then during the art institute, I actually learned more of like the technical, like musical side of things, and like notes and keys and scales and everything I needed to basically, I guess, produce music properly, to actually make everything in key and not have just a big jumble of sound or whatever. And that's actually where I started. Like that's when I had my first like home studio set up. I got like an audio interface and a mic, and I had like a MacBook and everything, and I started recording my own music. And at the time, before I moved into my first apartment in Atlanta, I was living in my aunt's attic. And in her attic, that's her son was an engineer, and he kind of, I guess, kind of, I guess he like refined my engineering, because I was learning the engineering at Art Institute,
Mhm.
and I got like kind of the hang of it, and just the basics of like compression and EQ and all the things that you need basically when it comes down to that. And he kind of refined it, and that's also, he helped me with the beats and everything. And then
Nice.
that was the first initial, I guess, sound that I found. Like it wasn't really anything spectacular, but it was like me actually like creating like a solid piece of work that I was like, okay, I made this, something that like motivated me.
Nice.
And I would say I moved back to South Florida when I was like 22, 23.
Hmm.
And at that time, I was just going into studios. I got engineering jobs at studios, and I was working with a lot of different artists. I was learning like more producing skills. I was learning more engineering skills. I was just networking, meeting a lot of people, listening to different types of music, from everything from rock to country to R&B, hip hop, everything. I was just, it kind of like expanded how I hear music and see music, and just make music in general. And going from studio to studio to studio, it just, over the time, I just got better, and I started like performing at like open mics and small shows here and there. And then that was probably up until it was about 4 years ago.
Nice.
And then in 2019, I met an older guy. He was a engineer, and he was an engineer based out of Miami. And I started working with a company, and then they basically, that was how I met him. And he was like the first person that actually wasn't like a yes man per se. Like he wasn't like, if I did something, he wasn't just like, oh yeah, let's go, let's go, let's go. Like
I
that's,
see.
he would tell me, he would be like, oh, maybe you should do this, or maybe this would sound better, or oh, you need to deliver it this way, or you're not, like basically tell me if something's not good. And that was the first time I actually had someone that seemed like they cared as far as like my
Wow.
sound of music. And he's worked with like a lot of people in Miami, like Trick Daddy, Trina, like some old school people. He was like an older guy.
Nice.
And so I was working with him for around 2.5 years. I recorded like probably like 100 songs, I would say. Like,
Wow.
yeah, it was a lot of music. Yeah. And I was just working with him over. And that was really when I stopped. Well, not, I wouldn't say stop, but I focused mainly on the writing and performing aspect of things. Like I still produce and I still mix my own vocals and things like that. But as far as the writing and things like that, I was mainly focused on that when I was working with him. And then
Nice.
in the start of 2022, when I was going to release the project, he actually got murdered.
Mm.
And that kind of affected me in a way, because I remember that weekend I was supposed to have a studio session with him,
Mm.
and it was a Friday night going to Saturday. And then I was supposed to have an overnight I think it was from like 2 a.m. to 8 a.m. or from 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. One of like a session like that. And I ended up canceling because I was having car troubles, and it was like deep in Miami. And then that next morning I was at the gym, and then I get a call from the owner of the company I was working with, and he's like, "Oh, so and so was murdered." And
Oh.
I don't know, I was just like, wow, it's like the first person that actually like was, I guess I can call him a mentor, because he actually like helped me out a lot. Like when it comes down
Yeah.
to like, I feel like this industry, a lot of people just don't care like about the actual product itself, you know what I mean? So yeah, and then yeah, it's 2023 now, and releasing music. Just honestly,
How did you get over it? Like how did like what, you know, like I mean I'm sure we all experience things that go kind of south or bad in our life, and like someone that close to you that you said
mm,
gave you this much, you know, that imparted so much into you and really cared about, you know, your work and, you know, you as a person. How did you kind of like, was music your therapy, or like what did you do to like kind of get
well, I actually, when that first happened, I kind of like was like, is this a sign for me to stop making music, for me to just
uh
go a different route? It's like I actually didn't record or do anything for a good like 5 or 6 months, because I was just kind of like processing what was going on. Because I went from almost every weekend or every 2 or 3 days, I was going into the studio and recording, and then all of a sudden it just comes to a halt. And I
mm,
was like, wow, like I don't know, I kind of see things, I kind of look at things as a sign sometimes, but then I realize that I really shouldn't see it that way, because at the end of the day, I only have so much control over what happens outside. Like that's a whole other situation. I have no idea what happened, who did it,
yeah.
or what he was involved in. So I can't
Yeah.
really sit here and take it as a personal thing. But
Mhm.
it did motivate me and drive me, and I use what he taught me, and like the music I'm making now, like the old artist that transformed into the artist I am now, like I have to always like keep that with me, but I
Mhm.
can't let it like stop me. I've always had a weird way of dealing with death. Like I don't know, I don't see it as like this, I don't want to say like a sad thing or like a uncomfortable thing. I know it's a part of life. So it's like I'm like, all right, I take it for what it is, and I
Mhm.
see, like, try and find the light in it and what it is. Like, at the end of the day, he has a family that's like it really affected them like
Yeah.
in way deeper than it would ever affect me. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
I was very upset about it. I can't even lie. Like, I was just, it was crazy. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, it definitely. I'm thankful for meeting him, and I'm thankful for everything that happened. And it's unfortunate, very unfortunate.
Yeah. Let's talk about your song. I mean, I actually listened to, I went to your YouTube channel, so I actually checked out a lot of your music.
Mm.
And I saw the video. I think, did you shoot that in Atlanta? The one of you at the studio
No,
and the
that was
producer.
in Miami at a
That was
studio.
Miami.
Eight.
Ah,
Yeah. Mhm.
nice. What kind of like, as far as like your process when you're making music, what I guess what made you say, okay, this is the song I want to make and
Mhm.
put it out there? Or were you just like, how do you know when something's like, okay, I want to put this one out first before this one? Or you know what I mean? Like your process.
Let's see. So before, what I would do is I would just write a whole bunch of music. Like I would write probably 3 to 5 songs before I went into the studio, and then I
Mm,
would record all of them and see what's meshing and what actually sounds good. Because a lot of the times ideas don't come to like fruition as far as what you think it's going to sound like or what it
yeah.
actually is going to be. So that was my old process, and I still do it occasionally now. But what I do, especially with the song Streets and some of the other songs I have released recently in the past year and a half, 2 years, I would go into the studio and I would probably have 2 songs written instead of 5, and then
Mm,
I would go in and have beats that I really like, that really resonate with me. And I would just go into the booth and I would originally like try and come up with a hook first. And
Mm,
then once I have the hook and I go and listen to it, I'm like, okay, this sounds good. I can go forward with it. And I use that general hook as an idea to like create the verses. And then I'll go in there and sometimes I'll like, if it like the song Streets, like I made that in like 15 minutes, probably like 10 to 15 minutes.
oh,
And then
wow.
some other songs, it'll take me like a day, maybe, or like 4 hours. It depends on how it is. If it's something more technical or something based off a feeling, that song
Hmm.
Streets is really based off of a feeling, and things like that like kind of come natural to me, especially if the hook itself really speaks to me.
Hmm.
Then I can go from there, and I just literally just go just verse to verse, and then I'll do like a verse, a bridge, and a hook, or I'll do like an intro, hook, bridge, or I have different ways of doing it. I'll learn that like in the art institute and stuff like songwriting. And
Oh, nice.
basically, I try and keep everything as technical as possible while keeping it free flowing. Also, that's why I
Yeah.
stopped doing all the writing and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, because just naturally, like how it comes off the tongue versus going from paper to mic
Yeah.
or something to mic, it's a different feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so you're on your Jay-Z freestyle. You're just going to the booth and you just like it just go you just flow. Which I
Yeah,
think is awesome.
yeah. I hope I can get like that one day. But yeah, that's how I see it. Yeah, you know.
Um, so I mean, I think with everything that is going on in the world, and now that we're out of COVID, things are
Mhm.
so much different now. I mean, as far as like putting your stuff out there, whether I think that's in music or film or whatever form of entertainment it is, do you feel like things have drastically changed as far as like the music industry, and do you feel like it's getting better as far as like for artists to be getting their stuff seen and like more places availability to put your stuff onto like platforms?
Yeah, I do. I do think it's more open, but I also think the market is also very flooded now, and I think there's a lot of. Well, no, I can't even say that. Let me not say that. I feel like based off of like creative control and just being able to put out what you want and reach, I guess, whatever audience you want, especially with platforms like TikTok and Instagram, and
Hmm.
well, mainly TikTok. TikTok is something that to me, like I was kind of against it at first.
Me too.
And yeah, and then I started like putting content on. I saw that I'm reaching random people, like thousands of people, and I was like, wow, this is way different from Instagram and Twitter and things like that. Because at the end of the day, it's like Instagram, you only has to. It's like what word of mouth kind of thing usually to get on, like I guess a for you page or someone's actual page. Like it has to, enough people have to engage and do things like that. With TikTok, like
Mhm.
you can just be scrolling and all of a sudden something pops up, and if it resonates with you, then you follow or you like or do whatever, and that it just
Yeah.
grows from there. But as far as yeah, like I do want to see kind of like a change as far as it goes, like back into, I don't want to like, I guess, relate to the past, but I do want to see the music industry kind of go into a mm, just a more
More in
like,
favor of the artist.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like, because everyone nowadays has to be like an influencer type thing, and I want to, like, I'm more of like the studio type of guy, like that, not necessarily like, I like the process of things. Like I like the creative aspect. I don't want to like wash down any of my stuff. I don't want to just have everything just be so bland, kind of like. I wanted to go back to where it's like something releases and you're just like, oh, I've been waiting on that, or
Right.
well, you know what I mean? Like the excitement of things. And now it's just like people's attention spans are so quick that it's
It's
literally, you know what I mean?
it's mind blowing. It's the same as in film as well. Like you'll release a film and you do the prep to put it out, and and then people come and they show up, and then maybe a few months later there's like 5 other movies or 10 other movies that come out, and you just kind of
Yeah.
get washed in, in that little
Yeah.
current. So yeah, no, it's very interesting. I'm just curious because I know right now SAG situation with everything that's happening in the world, and like there's just so many movements, and I think we're just ready for a change. I think overall entertainment um wise, just in favor of the artist, because you're competing against big artists and indie artists, so they're like in the same kind of thing. You want to get in the charts. It's like,
It's
it's like,
almost impossible. I want to say impossible, but it's very hard because it's taking someone that might have a budget of a couple $1,000s versus someone that has a $200,000 budget or $500,000 budget. They're
mhm.
gonna completely just take everyone's eyes away from the independent artists, and that's like why it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know I see people that do it independently and they're successful because the thing with music, like you can still make a living off of having only 1,000 fans or
That's
1,500
awesome.
fans, but every artist I feel like wants to touch more people and to be known for their like craft and what they do, you know.
Mhm.
But I guess like you're right. Like it's hard to I guess differentiate between the independent and the major label. Well, it's not hard to differentiate because you can tell kind of based off of like what the presentation is of it. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the times it'll just be put together better as far as like how it's displayed and things. So yeah, I mean,
Nice.
yeah, that makes sense. So yeah.
I have a fun question.
Mm.
If you could perform with any artist, living or dead, who would you perform with and why?
Ooh, living or dead. I would. There's a couple. I like. Let's see. So if I had to do hip hop, I
Mhm.
would probably pick like I do like you mentioned Jay-Z. I really like Jay-Z. That's someone that is a legend. Say Jay-Z, I have to say Drake out there because he's just what he's done in the music industry. He's sold all those. I can't
Yeah.
say anything, but I like Biggie as well. I
Mm-hmm.
like I like just old school stars like Michael Jackson, like Prince.
They're the goats, though. Prince and
Yeah,
Michael. I
like
mean, they have like the blueprint that it's like you really want you want that level of success, but it's like that is a lot, like to
yeah,
be yeah.
yeah. It was like I mean, I really like like the reggae, like obviously Bob Marley and
Oh yeah.
people like that. Like just all that. I don't know. Like I said, I can go on a tangent and just name all these people, but I'll leave it there. Basically with that. But yeah.
No, those are great. Those are great answers. Um, so I was curious because like producing, I mean I find that's pretty cool. Like you're producing. So you're basically you can make a whole song, like a whole album, you're just yourself. Really, you could produce it, you can lay down the tracks, you're like all these things, which in the long run you'll be around forever because you can just jump into different fields, and that which is I think creatively is very I think why. And I was going to ask you, like, I find that pretty amazing because I feel like a lot of people want to put people in boxes of like
Mhm,
just one thing, like, oh, you're the artist, well, you're going to only just do this, or
mhm.
you're this,
Yeah.
well, you can only do this. Have you always been that kind of person that's like, no, don't put me in a box?
Yeah, 100%. That's literally how I've always been. That's why I kind of well, just going from studio to studio, I saw the people like honestly, people do disrespect the engineer a lot when it comes down to it. Like you'll see a big name artist come into the studio and treat an engineer like they're nothing, like literally just
Yikes.
like so I would sometimes people would be like, oh, ask me like things as far as like, oh, do you make beats or whatever it is, and you can see that they don't respect the engineer if they make not necessarily beats, but especially if they're like rapping or singing or doing something like that, because they
Yeah.
feel like it needs to be separated. Like they do put people in boxes, and that's why I kind of I wouldn't tell people usually sometimes like that I was working on a project or working on music or whatever it is, because a lot of the times like I would be working on a project and they would ask me, "Oh, do you have any beats or whatever?" Like I've had people that I worked with in studios take beats for me and things like that, or
Oh my
take
God.
like some songs. I worked at this one studio and I had my whole folder on there that I was working. It was like 20 to 30 songs, and this other artist would come in there and just, I guess they were working with another engineer, and the next thing I know, like a year
Mhm.
later, he released a project and there was like 3 or 4 of like basically the whole songs that I did on there.
Wow.
And from then, that's kind of why I went and did my own thing. And I was like, people respect the artist more than
Hmm.
the producer and the engineer, even though there would be no artist without a producer and engineer. That's kind of why I want to be able to do all those things. And that's why it took me years to to be where I'm at now, to be able to actually produce and mix and record and do everything myself, and to have it actually sound like passable. You know what I mean? Like when I
Yeah.
first started, it wasn't anything that was, I guess, I guess I can say quality. Like it, I guess it's a relative statement, but like
Yeah.
to me, it wasn't quality to what it is now. You know what I mean? And that's, yeah, I've always been like that, basically. Like I,
Yeah, and I think that you're right. It's true. Like, when I first started doing films, and I mean, well, I started out acting and doing that, and then I transitioned to, I went to film school, and then I thought my stuff was really, really good at one point. I was like, oh yeah, I'm amazing. And then I get older, I'm like, stuff is trash. I was horrible. And then
yeah,
I get older, I'm like, oh, this is the way, and you just learn as you get better, you get older, and you continue to perfect the craft. You just automatically get
mhm.
better the more you do something, right? And so I completely agree. Like I just find that that's kudos to you for staying at it. What keeps you going in this business? Why do you do the things you do?
Well, it's self-expression, honestly. Like I've always been the type of person that needs to express himself. And when I first started and I saw that I wasn't getting many plays or just any type of engagement or anything like that, I was just like, it's either I stop here and just give up, or I keep going because it's something I love. And
Yeah.
no matter what, I see myself doing this. I can't even say the word forever, but I see myself doing this for a long period of time because it's something I actually love doing, whether it's mixing or producing or rapping,
Yeah.
writing, to like singing. I'm not the best singer, but singing, and then like things like that. And I, yeah, I mean, it's literally just a self-expression and just a creative. I feel like I need to create. Like it's a part of me, that's something I need to do. Like every aspect of my life, like no matter what it is, I really do love creating. So that just keeps me going. And yeah, I'm also, I've always been like a very self-motivated person. So seeing like improvement and seeing progress with anything I'm doing, it just drives me to go even further with that. So it's like, yeah, and I don't really let people get in the way of like my dreams and what I want to do. You know what I mean?
That's great. No, I love that. Which was actually going to be my next question. Like I was going to say, like, any advice for, for those that are listening, that want to get into music or be a producer, what advice would you give them?
Don't listen to anybody unless they've done what you want to do, because there's a lot of people that will come and try and either sway what you're doing or give you advice on something that they've never done in their life. So you kind of actually derail yourself
It's
when it
true.
comes down to, because you honestly, like, best when it comes down to your creation. You know what I mean? So how are you gonna do that? And then don't let I don't want to say the word haters, but just don't let people that kind of don't believe in you or just think what you're doing isn't serious. Don't let them like get you off your path. And yeah, just stay focused. It's gonna take time. And
Mm.
if it comes easy, it's not worth it. Anything that is worth it is gonna take time and hard work and patience. You gotta persevere through all that stuff. But yeah, that's basically it, I guess. So,
That's great advice. That's absolutely great advice. Yeah. Do what you love. And like you said, I'm such a believer in that. Like I can listen to someone, but it's like if you haven't done it, then it's like,
exactly.
you
You know
know,
what I mean? It doesn't make sense.
it doesn't
Like,
make sense.
yeah.
It's not calculating. It's not adding up. Um,
Mhm.
uh, for another question, and then we're gonna wrap this up soon. I'm really enjoying talking to you. Um,
Thank you.
The 3 levels of influence: money, power, and respect. And if you could choose only one of those things, which one would you choose and why? Only one.
I would probably. Ooh, it's a hard question. It's between power and respect because money is a byproduct of both of those.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I would have to take the respect because with respect comes power and money, and especially in certain fields and certain industries. So if you don't have any respect, your image is going to be, I guess, tarnished, and no one's really going to respect you at the end of the day. So you need that kind of, I feel like. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe on a different day I would have taken power, but I feel like respect, Yeah.
That's a good answer. No, that's
What
a
about
great
you?
answer. Oh man, I never had anybody flip it around on me. This is good. This is good. I would say power, because I believe that, I think there's just misnomer that power will, it will ruin you, or it'll just, make you go crazy. But I feel like you have to have a little power to get things done in the world,
Mm,
like to actually move the needle. I mean, I don't need anyone to respect me or tell me. I think with power, you have that. Money does come. And I think a little bit respect does come with that, because it's like you're doing things that, it's like, for instance, it's like I think of it like, okay, I look at Jay-Z. Jay-Z, I'm sure he's not going to ever meet all the people that love him or don't like him, but
yeah.
it doesn't stop him from moving the way he does. He's a powerful man.
Mhm.
And I feel like that in this world we live in, unfortunately, we have to have a little bit of that to change things, I guess,
Ooh.
in a way. But I do like your answer. Respect is really, really good. I just feel like, I don't know, as a female, and then I'm a female too. So I'm a little swayed, jaded by my respect. That I think women don't really get it anyway in the business that I'm in. So
Really? Well, I can't. I mean, I can't speak on a. I can't speak for females. So I can't even. I don't know, but I've always respected females, so I can't say
no,
anything.
no, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that. No, I really do. I've worked with a lot of, yeah. Wow, just not to get on too much of me, but I work with a lot of men in the industry, and I've had some bad situations with some very powerful people.
Mm.
And I'm just like, really? But I think if that would never happen if I was a man.
Right, right, right. I completely
So
understand that. Yeah,
that's
makes sense. I kind
no,
of
but
now that yeah, I hear your answer, and I'm like, power is more important. And I feel like I feel like it's like a 50-50 thing between power and respect. The money is a byproduct, but
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Kind
No, I
of,
like your answer. Your answer was
I
great.
like your answer too. That was a good answer. It's making me think now. I'm like,
um, where can so you have anything coming up that you're working on that you like share with the listeners? Any
um,
upcoming shows?
yeah, I try and release music either once a month or once every 2 months. So I do have more music coming, and right now I'm just trying to build more of a solid fan base until so I can actually perform and go on a little like independent tour type thing, just small
Nice.
places, just so I can build up my fan base and things like that. And yeah, and I have a project coming either the start of next year or by the end of this year. I'm probably gonna wait until next year just because I feel like like I said, I'm trying to build up more of a solid fan base. I've been reaching a lot of people, but I want to actually like
Yeah.
have it stay, you know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
just yeah, so probably next year, I would say, or start of next year, first quarter of next year, I'm definitely have a project coming, and it's actually with the producer and the engineer that was murdered. So it's like that
Oh,
music that
wow.
I recorded with him, and
Nice.
yeah, so that's basically what I have like cooking up right now, just what I'm working
Awesome.
on. Mhm.
Awesome. Where can people find you on social media to follow all
Um,
that you got going on?
so Instagram is at savents s.a.vents vents, and TikTok is the same s.a.vents. Twitter I don't really use it, but it's s_a_vents. YouTube savents. Yeah, that's basically where I'm at right now.
Awesome. Well, it was a pleasure. Thank you for chatting with us today.
But thank you for having me. It was a great time.
Of course, of course. And definitely come back for sure.
Yeah, I would love to.
And thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
I keep running to you now.